Hello, everybody. We're here for another podcast, another video where we talk to somebody else apart from me. And this one, we're going to be talking about past lives, past life hypnosis, and Kirsty's role in all of that, and experiences that she's had with sessions and herself, and experiences I've had. And we're just going to talk about past lives, aren't we? So, hello, Kirsty.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Claire. Good morning to everybody that's watching or whatever time of day it is there for you guys. I'm really excited to be here today and thank you so much for inviting me to come and have a
Oh, you're
chat.
welcome. You're welcome. I've been following you for some time now because I met you through Ian because I saw you on Ian's YouTube channel. And this past life stuff you're doing is phenomenal because you keep putting little posts on your Instagram and your Facebook. And we've just been talking about the power of past lives and their influence on us is phenomenal. And more people are asking questions about where have I come from?
It's incredible. Really, I look at past lives as a point of healing. So, my
Mm,
background initially is healing. I'm a Reiki master and I've just completed my shamanic healing now as well. So, I'm now fully shamanic trained.
woo,
So actually bringing all of that influence into what I've learned now about the past life regression is how can we heal from our past mistakes? How can we heal that karma? How can we stop that having an impact on this life we're living now and actually just not taking it into that next life as well,
mm,
you know,
mm,
just allowing that
mm,
karmic cycle to end there, that pain and
mm.
that suffering to end there, so we can carry on without dragging that weight with us.
Yeah, definitely. Because we have been in, like, you'll know yourself, this shift in consciousness. We're being asked now by the universe to let it all go. And in order to let it all go, we've to re-experience it, re-meet people that we've met, re-meet those trigger, what I call the trigger masters
Yeah,
that come in and trigger the shit out of us
yeah.
for us to grow and to evolve and to find our truth and our reality, etc. What made you want to go into past life hypnosis?
Oh, interesting. Do you know what I think when you go into the woo woo world,
Mm,
and you know there's spiritual things, you kind of have wormholes that you go down.
mm,
So you
mm,
might have a fascination with crystals, which I am crystal
mm,
trained, but
mm, mm,
you might have a fascination with chakras. How do they work? Why do they work? Where do they come from? Blah, blah, blah. But I kind of just had this real interest in past lives.
mm,
The more I was doing Reiki sessions, the more clients were telling me that they'd seen maybe a glimpse of their past life.
mm,
I could sometimes during the sessions see glimpses of the client's
mm.
past lives. The best one was my daughter, and I did a session on her, and she went back to an ancient civilization, and she was there, as you know, she really was part of that life that she was telling me so much detail about. And I was like, whoa, we need to find out more about this.
Yeah.
It was kind of like I've got to the point where I'm at this peak and now I need to go train in it. There's, you know, I need to find out more. How can I get
Mm,
into that past life? And I wanted to do it in a way that I wasn't the one seeing it, because it's
mm,
easy to
mm,
see, to go to somebody and they sit there and say,
mm.
oh, you were a Roman soldier, you were doing this, you were doing that, which
Yeah.
I've been told this example
Mm,
before in a past life I had with a lady. Not to say it was wrong or right, but
mm,
I
mm.
didn't know because I hadn't seen it, I hadn't felt it. She was just telling me what she felt in that connection, which was great. But I wanted to do it in a way that my clients were experiencing every sense. So their
Mm,
sense of smell, their taste, their touch, their sight, everything comes alive
yeah.
during that past life regression. They're telling me, you know, if they're in a room, they can describe every aspect of that room to me. Even if there's a damp, dark smell in the room, they can tell me because
Mm,
all their
mm, mm,
senses are
mm,
alive. And I wanted to train in it in a way that when they came out of it, they were fully aware of everything that took place,
mm.
and not just me, you know, telling them what it might have been.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And this is one of the reasons why I've changed how I do the shamanic healing. Because I used to do it like distance with my little grid here, and then I'd email that they'd have no like none of this video call. Whereas now I actually want them to sit on video call and have, even if it's just a slight because otherwise it's just my experience. Oh, well, Claire
Absolutely.
said I was a Roman soldier. When they
Absolutely.
have that experience and those feelings,
Yeah.
which you can, it's phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's very emotion evoking. And I say this now many a times. If you're coming for a past life regression with me
Mm,
and you're female or
mm,
male,
yeah.
let's not say that. Don't wear mascara. You are
Oh
going to
yeah.
cry.
Mm,
Lots of emotions are going to come up. Even if I know I've got past life regression booked in, I won't put mascara on because I'm crying along
mm,
with them.
mm,
You know, it's so
mm,
emotional sometimes,
mm.
the things that are uncovered. So yeah, to do it face to face, to do it on video, you're making that connection
Mm,
and you're
mm.
having that awareness with the client. So yeah, I do all my sessions on video. I like to have that
Yeah,
interaction.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I even do the Reikis on video now, and it seems to work for me. I know some people prefer Reiki a different way, and that's fine. But yeah, it's powerful, isn't it? I'll tell you something as well. Was it beginning? Yeah, it was beginning of this year. I started reading Gone with the Wind, which is by Margaret Mitchell, I think. Anyway, it's about the Deep South in America and the slave industry. So I just picked it up. I'd been so pulled to read this book for all of a sudden, and I started reading it every single night. Whilst reading that book, did I, just that state before you're asleep but you're not awake, was I being shown like a film, like glimmers of this past life in the south of America where I was this, don't judge me for it, a plantation owner female. And it was just like, it was so real. It was unreal, if that makes sense. It was so
Mhm.
phenomenal. And it
Yeah.
was in that dream state. The minute I'd finished the book, it stopped.
Wow.
And
So
when
it
it
was
came up,
it
I
was
did all the
bringing it
healing for it
forward
as
for
well.
you. Yeah.
Um,
And you've just really reminded me, and I'd forgotten about this. When you had a Reiki session with me, didn't we uncover something in that life?
I know
This,
the last one I had, because interesting how this works, because I've been the wife of a slave trader, but I've also been the black slave.
I think that was it.
That was the one,
We
wasn't it?
uncovered
That was
that,
the
didn't
one.
we? Yeah.
And I told you about the physical things I've had with that. Like if I work in the sun and
You
I'm
did.
work like if I'm doing a lot, like in their old house, we had to do a lot of garden work, like painting and stuff, did my head in. I get really triggered and really overwhelmed in the sun. If I feel as I'm being worked, do you know what I mean? And I told you, didn't I, had that weird thing with my back where it itches.
Yeah.
And I remember once saying
It's
to
all
me, oh,
coming
do
back
me a
now. I do.
favour,
It was all in
itch me
there.
back, Gary, it itches. And I remember him, he'll give me a back scratch, but I could feel his fingers running through the whip marks. And I was like, oh, right, okay. And that's taken some, even now, it's gone so deep as those whip marks on my back.
But this
Um,
is always the karmic cycle as well.
mm,
You've been both sides. You will have
mm,
been
mm,
the slaver and the
mm,
slave, and
mm,
it's understanding,
mm,
living the karma on
mm,
both ends of
mm.
the scale there.
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely. And having to balance it out and
yeah.
yeah, I remember when we were doing our shamanic healing as well, we had to do as a group, we had to go into meditation and find a past life where we were all connected together
Ah,
without speaking. And we were all in the circle and then come to, and we did. And we'd all got that life I told you about, the black slave life. We all got it. And we were all, as each person was filling in a different part of the story, and it was like, whoa, that they've been packed up and packed away, the boat trip, they get in there, the missing family, it was just like, this is phenomenal. You can't make it up.
it's they say, don't they, that everybody we meet in this life,
Mm, mm,
whether it's just a fleeting
mm,
glimpse of a
mm.
passing or we've spent actual time with these people, we
Mm,
will have definitely met them before in a previous incarnation
yeah.
because we have some kind of karmic debt that we need to repay there.
Mm, mm, definitely, definitely. And that's that feeling of like knowing that you know someone. Where have I seen you before? And you're literally, oh my God, I can recognize your facial expressions, your voice, and everything.
Yeah.
And it works, as well. I always say to the clients, anyone that you really love or anyone that you really hate, and especially when you really hate them for no reason, I just can't stand her.
Can't
Or,
gel, can't get
yeah,
on with
yeah, it's
that.
because they've done something to you in a past life.
Yeah. you had some
Mm,
kind of clash,
mm, mm,
where in this life you're kind of now, I'm just going to keep you at arm's length a little bit.
mm, mm.
It's not feeling great here, but it is. I was saying to you a little bit earlier about my first Reiki master. I'm very lucky. I've got two Reiki masters.
Yeah,
My first Reiki master, she actually became my friend over 25 years ago. And I was her boss actually at that time.
yeah,
But she came in for the interview, and it was exactly as you said. It was like, I really feel a pull to this
mm,
person. I feel
mm.
like I must, I know I didn't know her, but it was like I felt like I really knew her, and like
Yeah,
I need to be her friend.
yeah, yeah. It's weird, isn't
And
it?
we have
It's
been
weird.
friends ever since. Yeah, it is. You just know that that feeling is right.
Mm.
I suppose a bit like when you meet your soulmate, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think as well with soulmates and stuff, and even like the old twin flame belief system, I think it goes beyond even like a lover's thing. I think your child can be a twin flame, your dog can be a twin flame,
Really?
a
Yeah,
parent can be a twin flame. It's not just we always associate it, don't we, with lovers.
yeah,
You could have you know a friend that is one of your soulmates or your twin
um,
flame. Um,
absolutely.
it's so much bigger than the love of my life.
Yeah,
It's vast.
yeah. It's, I mean, if we go really, really deep, then consciousness, we're all connected, aren't we?
I was going to say, you want to really take it to the next level. It's we are all twin flames. We are all soulmates.
We're all one energy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
if we really want to blow everyone's minds with that, but
Yeah.
how
We're
deep
all
you
one. We're all
want
one. I remember in shamanic healing being taught that, say, you know, you think if your child's about to be knocked down with a bush, you want to put yourself in front of it. And she actually said, technically, anyone getting knocked down with a bus, we should feel the urge to do that because we are all one,
Oh,
whether
yeah.
it's your child or,
That resonates. That really
yeah.
does. We are all one consciousness. And the more past life regressions I
Mm,
do, the more
mm,
I see that. The most profound past life regressions I've done, I've had one where the lady was starseed energy, so
yeah.
she was galactic. I had a gentleman who he was connecting in with a being of a different race from our
Mm,
planet.
mm,
And then the most recent one that I did was just a being of light consciousness. And the one thing that came from these very profound sessions
mm,
was the saying, "We are one."
mm,
Every single one of them during their session repeatedly said, "We are one. There is one consciousness. We are one."
mm,
And I think there are different levels of ascension. I think for people, I think some people
mm,
are newly ascended onto Earth. Some people are quite highly ascended onto Earth,
mm,
and I think that the people that are more higher ascended have a higher frequency, and they're the ones that will maybe be able to
mm.
tap into that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Have you got any more experiences that you can share with us from your clients
Oh my
in
gosh,
your
I have
reading?
so many. I don't know. I'm going to tell you first of all, one of the most mind blowing ones that I did, and this is just because the facts were
Mm.
so clear. I brought my book over because in case I forgot things.
No, no.
Every past life regression. Sorry, I just digress a little bit. Every past life regression I do, every single thing that a client says to me, I write down. So all the their name, the date, the year that they're in, the place that they live, the people around them, their friends, their family members, the name of their house, their dog, whatever.
Mm, mm,
As much information they tell me, I'm writing down frantically, but I also record the sessions as well so that they can listen back
yeah,
to the
yeah.
sessions in their own time, because although it's a conscious memory that we've just tapped
Mm,
into, so they can remember it like they can remember yesterday, um, you know, there may be aspects of dates and things that have, oh God, what did I say? So
yeah,
everything
yeah,
is written
definitely.
down and recorded. So one of the best ones that I did, or most profound ones, because she found so much detail, was one of my lovely regular clients, and she actually was told once by, I think, like a tarot reader or a medium, that she had a connection in a past life to witchcraft,
Yeah.
and that this wasn't anything that she had ever thought about
Mm,
in a connection in this life. But we asked the question. where is the connection to witchcraft? She was then transported back to a life where she was called Elizabeth. She was called Elizabeth Clark. She gave me her nickname. I think she was called Betsy Clark. She told me her age, where she lived, her parents' full name. She told me her sister's name. She told me the town in which she lived. She described to me in so much detail this one room cottage that she lived in, and it was very cold and damp, and it was just like muddy floor. You know, there wasn't much. What year were we in? Was it 16 something? I'm going to have a little look because, like I say, I've done that many. Let's find more. Best Clark. Anyway, so basically, she's telling me all of this information, all of this detail. The most crazy part as well was that she had one leg. So she was very aware that she only had one leg in the past life. And I can't find it. I'm not going to waste time looking.
You're not meant to.
I'm not going to waste time looking. Basically, all of the information she told me, and she told me about the witch trial. She was very scared because the people in the village were assuming she was a witch. They were calling her a witch. She was really upset about this because she said, "I'm not a witch. I'm not a witch. I use the herbs in the forest. I use them to make tinctures." And she did have some friends that relied on her for these tinctures and these medicines that she was providing. But the villagers were getting very irate because at this time witchcraft was becoming quite a thing, and because she had a disability, she looked older than she was, and she was hunched over because she only had one leg. So, of course, they were calling her a witch.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at the end of the session, while my client was still in the room, I said, "Shall we look up the town? I've never heard of that town. Let's see if we can find it." And it's a little tiny town in Essex, and it was called it because of all of these really tall trees that were there. And she told me that the house was so dark because it was surrounded by all of these tall trees, and no light could get in. It was so dark. So that was first tick. And I said, on Google, I said, it tells us a history of this town. Shall I click on it? So I clicked on the history, and it told us about the witch trials, and it told us about the witch hunts. And I said, gosh, I said, there was a lot to go into. So the lady went, "I'm going to go home and I'm going to kind of see what I can find out about this." So within half an hour, 40 minutes, she'd sent me a message. "Oh my gosh, Kirsty, you won't believe it. I found there was a whole book written about this lady, who she was in the witch trials, and everything I'd written down, all the names, all the places, the dates, everything matched." And it was as though she'd kind of taken that information and just absorbed it and given it out to me. But it was so factual, to a point where she read I've also read the book now because she lent it me after she bought the book, obviously. And she said, "But I wasn't a witch. They thought I was, but I wasn't." And she was still really upset about this fact that she was blamed, and she was persecuted by, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was one of the biggest witch hunters in the UK at the time, and he was the one responsible for taking her to trial and going through it. So yeah, that's one of my best, because there was an actual book written about this Bess Clark
that you can check up on as well and prove what you. Yeah.
So that was quite mind blowing. And what a more recent one, a lady went back in time and she was a little boy, and she'd ran away from home because her home life was quite bad. I think she got beat by a dad, or it was quite a bad home life. So what she'd actually done was she ran away to the docks, and she got on a boat to be a stowaway on a boat. And like I said, the senses come alive. She got in. Oh, she began in the box. She began in the box, and she said, "I'm in a box." When I said, "Where are you?" She said, "I'm in a box. I'm a little boy. I'm in a box." And she said, I could smell all the spices. It smells like cinnamon and it smells like cumin. And she was describing the smells and like how it felt inside this
Mm,
box. Um, so as it transpired, because she was a young child, we couldn't
mm,
find much out about the person she told me she was. However, she knew the name of the boat, she knew the year it was, and she knew the dock that she was in. And within, later that day, she sent me a log of the boats that were moored at, I think it was Portsmouth,
mm.
that her boat was there on that date, and it was
Wild.
sailing to the East Indies, and it was carrying a cargo of spices.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's just amazing.
It's you can't. It's phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I find it really interesting when people are in different countries as well.
Mm,
So going back to the spices, I had a lady who was in India. In this life, she doesn't get, was it her mother she doesn't get on with? And we were asking why in this life do I have a really, an upset relationship with
mm,
my mother? And her mother actually turned out to be her mother-in-law in a past life. She'd had an arranged marriage with this woman's son, and they were horrible to her. They
mm,
really, they were, they weren't nice at all. But again, she was in India. She was telling me about the vibrant colours. She was telling me about the environment in which she lived and the spices and what they would cook with. She would talk to me about the recipes and what they were making. And to go into deep, she said, I wouldn't know how to make that. When she came round, that's not something that
mm.
I have in my knowledge. So yeah, it's
Crazy, isn't it? It's you can't make it up, can you?
no,
It's
you can't.
and the impact that it has on us now is phenomenal.
It really is. And this is what people say to me. I had a lady the other day who came on Saturday, and she was really descriptive. She gave me all sorts of facts about this life she was living in, to the point she described her summer dress to me. I'm a little girl and I've got this summer dress on and I'm wearing the sandals. And she could tell me everything about how she looked and how she felt emotionally. And then when she came round, she said, could I have made that up? Where did it come from? And you're still shocked when you come round, like, well, where did I get that from? Because it's so real.
Yeah, it's yeah, and like places as well. When you go to
Don't get me
places that
started.
call you've never been to, or like I had that in New York and in Cape Cod. My God,
Yeah,
Cape Cod blew my brains to
yeah.
pieces, to be honest. Um, Cornwall's another one for me. Northumberland, London,
Uh,
Scotland, but it's all for different reasons. Like Scotland, I can go like, because of like witch trials and stuff that I've experienced there.
yeah. I had a lady talking about places. The reason she contacted me for the past life regression specifically, I'd never
Mm,
met her. She wasn't a regular client. But she saw my past life regression post and she said I needed to reach out to you. She said, I have this real affinity with the Isle of Wight. She said, I've only been there twice in my life. She said, the first time I got there, I was like, I'm home. I've been here, I'm home. And the second time, she said, the second time she went to an old church and she said there was a photograph inside the old church, a really old photograph. And she said, a shiver down my spine. I looked at the photograph and I said, that's me. That's me.
mm,
She said, I haven't told anyone that because they think I'm crazy, but I wanted to come here to you today to see if we could
mm,
investigate that.
mm,
And sure as hell, we went back to her life in the Isle of Wight. She lived in a row of cottages not far from the church, actually. And she told me all about her father, the neighbours, her life there. And it was her in the photograph. It
mm,
was. She was right. So that glimmer that she was shown was true.
mm. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Mm.
It's fascinating. Or like you go into like an old house or an ancestral or a castle or something or a palace, and you know you've been there, but you know it.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's. Or you go into a battlefield. And I've done that when we needed to find something to do with history in a battlefield and a village, and I actually found it without no sat nav. And I actually, if you know me, I have no sense of direction. Can't follow maps or anything rubbish at it all. But I just went using my gut feeling and I found it.
Wow, it's almost like we are a human dowser,
Mm, mm,
using yourself as a human pendulum.
mm,
That is obviously you'll have done things like that when you did your shamanic as well.
mm,
It's
mm,
about like listening to your
mm.
body and allowing your body to pull you where you need to be. And you've literally proved that in allowing your body to be that pendulum, that dowser, and guide you.
Yeah, yeah. It's phenomenal. I've had have you will have experienced the hypnosis as well yourself, wouldn't you?
Yep. So I've had past life regression quite a few times actually. The first time I had it was quite profound. I kept skipping through lives really quickly.
Mm,
Um, but the one that really stood out to me, I was a soldier called Charles Walker, and it showed me in the first session a snippet, and I was stood on a train platform. I could feel the uniform. It was itchy
mm,
and irritable on my skin. I could feel my boots. They were really, really heavy. And I knew I wasn't very old at this point. And I was so scared. I was so scared. My whole body was shaking and I started crying. I got really emotional. And actually, at that point, the guy who's doing the hypnosis, he brought me out because I was getting really, really sad. And when he brought me out, I said, "Oh, you should have kept me in. I could have told you all sorts about that guy. I felt so connected to him." Anyway, he pondered over this, the hypnosis guy, and he messaged me and he said, "I want to invite you back. I want to go back to that life so that we
mm,
can really, you tell me
mm,
about it." So the first part of me going back into that life, because we only focus on that life and wanted to see how that life panned out, he took me into my mother's arms when I was first born, and the feeling of contentness and this rocking feeling I had was amazing. So much love. And he said, "Well, you can't tell me much as a baby. Let's skip you forward a little bit." So he skipped me forward to I was about a 7-year-old boy, and I was playing on the street with my friends and I was playing football, and I could describe the houses. So at this point, my husband had come with me to the session because the guy had said, "I don't want you driving straight after because I want you to come round and ground." So my husband is sat in the session. Everything I'm saying, so the street I live on, where I live, the school I go to, my husband's Googling it. So he's got the house that I'm talking about. I'm
yeah,
laying there, not aware that he's doing this at all. So he's Googled the street that I'm playing football on, yeah. And I know I'm uphill because I'm kicking the football uphill to my friends as well. So I know my house is on a big steep hill. And the guy who's doing the past life regression for me, bless him, he's asking me these questions like, "Do you have any siblings? What's life like there? What does your dad do for an occupation?" Asking me all this. And I was so in the past life regression that I was like, saying to my mates, "Hang on a minute, this guy keeps asking." I turned around to him, I was like, "Have you got any more questions to ask me? I'm playing football with my friends." And I was so in there, in the session, that I kind of was really like saying to him, "Just let me play." Anyway, so yeah, it was a really good session, really deep session. It did take me up to the time of being the soldier and at the time of my
mm,
death. Ironically, actually, the time of my death, I had issues with my arm, and now my right
mm,
shoulder.
mm,
I always have problems with
mm,
it.
mm.
I'm literally having physio with it right now because again, it started again. But the soldier he was shot, and it was around his right shoulder that he had the injury. So we
Wow.
need to heal that. So this is what I go back
Mm,
in and I heal these types of things now. Um, Okay, so yeah, when I came out of the session, my husband showed me the row of streets and he's like, "I Googled what you were saying. Is this where you lived?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's
mm.
it. That's where I lived." So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that that is my past life.
Yeah.
I've never been, it was in Bradford, by the way. I've never
Mm.
been to Bradford still in my life. And I described that house like it was somewhere I had been and I had lived.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And it
Um,
impacts you in a way that you can't comprehend, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it really does. But kind of going back to that shoulder thing, and see, the way I do the past life healings is if someone has got a physical
Mm,
issue and maybe it's not anything that they've really done
mm,
in this life for that to happen, we go back and find out which life that happened in, and we'd send healing to it, and we'd be able
mm,
to kind of
mm.
disconnect, if you like, cut the cords from the pain so that we're not carrying it over the lives.
It's yeah, you do because you get the objects in your energy field as well, don't you? So,
Yeah.
like I've had all that from battles like swords, and one lifetime I died in a jousting accident, and I had the jousting stick right through the middle of me. And I've said this to clients. I used to have all these complaints of pains around that area. I had those battle sticks they have where they shove it into you. Well, that was right up my bum, up my reproductive organs. Oof. And I used it right through me, and I had that pulled out in the same session. And I used to have this thing where I'd sit down, I'd be just sat like this, and I go, "Ah." And anybody near me would be like, oh my God, what's going on? It was awful all the time, like literally like sitting on a pole up your bum.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was that I was
So you
sat on it
were.
energetically.
Yeah.
And you could feel her pulling that pole out.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Um, it's phenomenal. I mean, I've had hypnosis. I've had it once with Ian, and I said I'm gonna share it
Yeah.
because it blew my mind and it caused so much healing as well. Um, I'll step back a bit. I think it was 2021. We did a tour of the South, and we went to Windsor Castle, and I'd always wanted to go to Windsor Castle. But the minute I got into Windsor, I flipped out and didn't stop flipping out until I left Windsor. And even that evening, I was laid on the bed in the Premier Inn. I just couldn't, and I blamed the royal family. I blamed everybody but my past lives. I had
Ah,
no idea about it.
yeah.
And anyway, I know Ian was doing his training, and I was like, I'll be one of your people he can practice on. And I had visions of other past lives coming up. So I laid on the bed and he talked me through it, all the different stages. And all of a sudden, I was in the middle of Kensington Palace. And I was I'd say a young girl, beneath the age of 16, I think I was. And I was basically being primed to be a mistress of the king. It was one of the Charleses. I think
Gosh.
it'll, I think it'll be Charles II because it's the one that I think it's a Civil War one. I always get my Charleses mixed up between the first and the second. But I got pregnant, and I was this beautiful little thing, beautiful little, vibrant little girl. Well, I was practically a little girl, and I got pregnant. And oh my God, I could feel the labor pains. I died in pregnancy. Well, I died in childbirth.
Yeah.
And I have got an awful fear of childbirth. And I think that's one of the reasons why I just can't do it. Because literally, I've had a similar dream about another past life where I was again a rich woman, got pregnant to a lord of the manor, and I was sat in this dining room. In fact, I think it was Highclere Castle, and literally I could feel the fear rising up in relation to giving birth, which makes sense because I just died. I died in childbirth. It was horrible. All the wood paneling. I hate wood paneling.
Mm.
When I go into one of those houses and there's wood paneling, it feels like it's coming in at me. Um, and then I did some research and I found out that one of his mistresses lived at Windsor Castle. Was it Nell Gwyn or something? Something like that. Probably got that wrong. Anyway, another trip to Windsor came up next year, and I was like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And I was like, I'm going to give it a whirl. Perfect. Not a problem. Not a problem.
Because you'd
Not a
addressed
problem.
it.
Yeah. It was just like, I was actually kind of going, hit me now. And it was just like, nothing. Not a problem. But
Wow.
in that, because afterwards, it goes through all like your higher self stuff and you meet your higher self and what was I meant to learn from this lifetime? How was this lifetime impacting this current lifetime? And similar, obviously not being a mistress of a king in this lifetime, but similar things of out of dynamics with older men, more powerful men,
Mhm.
being judged for it, being losing your self-empowerment and all of that. And it was like that was profound.
Wow, the connections are
Profound, yeah.
so clear when you describe it, the
Mm,
connection between the past and the now,
yeah.
you are carrying that karmic debt.
Yeah, yeah, it's profound. And like I could even feel the dress that she was wearing, which is why I actually struggle with dresses and especially being, you know what I mean? It's just when it's all corseted and
Corseted, yeah.
That's why I like to wear comfortable clothes, I think. And even like on my wedding dress, because my wedding dress was a corset, even strangely enough. But I remember when they were tying it in like that, it's like, oh my God, I hate that feeling. I hate that feeling. In fact, there was a problem on my wedding day where my mum and my maid of honor had forgotten how to do the corset. So they didn't do it tight. Whereas the wedding shop woman, boom, boom, and it was like,
Okay.
so actually, because I don't think I'd have flipped if I'd have had that corset on all day, really tight, like they put you in.
Yeah, you can't imagine.
Yeah.
I did a past life regression very similar to what you described there. And so the lady had she's having trouble to conceive, let's say. She's been
Mm,
through rounds of IVF,
mm,
and she really, really wants to be a mum. And in the past life regression, actually, we were taken back to almost medieval France.
yeah.
She lived a really lovely life on a farm with her family. She was a young girl. She was probably about 14,
Mm,
15 years old. And when I think it was some kind of crusaders, whoever it was, they came
mm,
through and they basically pillaged the village, the town. They were murdering people and taking prisoners.
mm,
And she was taken prisoner and she was taken to, she described it so clearly, bless her. It was a really dismal dungeon. It was really cold and damp and wet. But basically, the guards were raping her over and over
yeah,
and over again.
yeah.
She saw herself pregnant, but she would lose the baby.
Mm,
And they just basically abused her until I think she was hung, or she went to trial and
mm,
she didn't live much longer. Um, but what we took from that was the essence of that past life was almost protecting her womb in this life.
mm,
They were
mm,
protecting her feminine energy, her goddess energy, and they were trying to
mm.
keep her safe.
Yeah.
So, in a way of not allowing her to be pregnant in this life was because of the abuse of what she went through in previous lives.
Mm,
They thought they were, the energy was really protective around her almost.
mm,
The boundaries, they were making them so strong that it's carrying over to this life.
yeah. It's to hold space so that womb can heal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can be held space without becoming a mother. And this is why I said, I think it was the video I did with Brenda a few weeks ago, when we can't have children, we have to read the room. I know that can be, I could trigger people with this, but your bodies has a great way of saying no for a reason. And then to do an intervention with that. I mean, if I'd have gone, because I remember I got offered IVF and I was like, no. And I didn't realize why I was saying no at the time. But I think I just need this lifetime to just release.
This
Because
is the time for
it
healing.
wasn't just that lifetime. There was another one where I was a mistress to Henry VIII as well, and it's like this pattern keeps repeating.
Yeah, yeah.
And
This is
yeah,
your healing life, isn't it?
it's and this divine feminine wound that we've got that I think a lot of women now are just needing to decompress so the
Yeah.
womb codes can sort themselves out. Because if I got pregnant and I ain't healed that wounded and I have a really bad pregnancy or it kills me again, I've not healed it. I've got to come back again and face it.
Mhm.
Speaking of that, I'm going for womb healing next week, which is weird. I'm just thinking that now. That's weird.
Oh my gosh, me
Yeah, yeah.
too.
You joking? Womb healing next week.
Are you doing it in person? Are you? What are
I'm
you?
doing it over Zoom. I'm doing it over Zoom with someone.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm having next week. I'm kind of putting myself in the hands of this amazing lady healer that I've met,
Yeah,
but she specializes in
yeah.
goddess womb healing energy. But I was kind of like, look, I'm at your mercy. Just, do whatever you feel needs to be done.
Ah,
But
right.
yeah, help us out about
It's
what day are you
wait,
doing yours?
it's Friday.
Okay, I think I'm possibly Thursday, but that'd be
Yeah,
interesting.
but
Have a catch up after.
even so, it's strange, isn't it? And
There's
yeah,
too many coincidences happening, isn't there, today?
yeah. I hope that people listening to this will actually realise that because I know there's a lot of women that are struggling to fall on, that there's a reason for that. And I think the best thing you can do is allow your body to heal.
Yeah, and like you say, though, it is pretty triggering. It's
Mm,
hard when you
mm,
desperately, desperately want
mm,
that, and
mm,
that's all that
mm,
you desperately want.
mm,
I do still have really high hopes that this lady is gonna have
Mm.
a natural pregnancy. I really do. The healing that we did in that session, it does. I don't think it's going to be within the next couple of years,
Yeah,
but I think over a period of a few years, I think she's going to have a nice little surprise.
yeah, yeah. It's phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, we're not always in what I do in my healing, or in my regressions, should I say. It's not always taking things off. So we're talking
Mm,
about it like it's a really bad thing, like we're going to find something terrible and we're going to
mm,
help disconnect it. I've had many, many sessions where clients have actually been shown the most blissful, beautiful life, full of either peace or
mm,
love,
mm,
whatever you could need in abundance. And instead of me then at the end having to remove something because it's like a heavy
mm,
energy, actually what that client is given a gift. They're
mm,
given abundance
mm,
of love.
mm,
They're given,
mm,
that peace. And actually then bringing that back into the life that they live now. I literally had a message off a lady this morning who was thanking me for just being part of her journey, which is
mm,
amazing. But she's saying to me, it's over the last few months that I feel like I'm at so much peace with my life. And I was just kind of took a sat a bit back a minute. I thought, well, hang on a minute. How long ago did we do her regression? Because she was a lady who was given peace. Her life was so hectic that she needed to slow down. She needed to slow down. And
yeah,
the life gifted her that. It showed
mm,
her
mm,
this idyllic, peaceful, slow life. And they gave her a piece of that to come back with.
mm,
And yeah, I had responded to her on a message this morning saying, "Oh, do you think that has a little bit of connection to your regression, maybe?"
yeah. It's it's a gift, isn't it, to find out why and who was I? Who am I? Because those lifetimes as well are all they do say are all going on at the same time.
I'm glad you said that because I touched on that this morning when I was telling somebody I was doing this. Yeah, the timelines are all playing all at once.
Mm, mm,
It's only on Earth that time has even a relevance. There is no time and space anywhere
mm,
else.
mm,
It's all happening
mm.
now, which is really bizarre
Yeah,
way to feel about it. But everything that we've done has already happened.
yeah. It's fascinating, isn't it? And that
And
that
multiple versions of us on different
mm,
timelines as
mm,
well.
mm. Yeah,
Sorry, go on, Kat.
yeah, there is, and that's happening a lot more now where it's getting really freaky.
Have you got an example?
I'm just trying to, yeah, I have. Speaking of royal courts, because have I shared this on a video? I Right, let me try and explain it in matrix terms because it is a bit of a weird one. In about just before I met Gary, I got on a. This is how sad it gets. I'd had enough of life as a dental nurse, and I wanted to break away. And they were starting to advertise for jobs as something in Buckingham Palace. It was a big like a recruitment thing, and I was like, I'm going to go to London and work in the palace. And it was like, okay, whatever, yeah. And then obviously I didn't, but this physical body didn't, but another aspect of me did, because I've since had dreams of me in the modern day clothes working in the palace. It's not old fashioned, so it's not a past life. It's happening now. And there was one particular dream I could explain, I could describe to you the room, what the current King Charles was looking like, all of it. And I was sat next to one of my work colleagues outside a palace room. It was weird. It was weird. Um, Different versions of us at different times. Because
Yeah,
people think that I just come down in this lifetime, then I die and I go back. But we're
yeah.
continuously. There's different versions of us.
There are. We have to learn every
Mm,
single aspect of the karmic cycle and live
mm,
every
mm,
version.
mm, mm.
Every version.
Because right now we're sat here, but there could be 30 different people out there with our soul in them.
Mind blowing.
It is. But there's
What
also different aspects of us now, the carnation of Claire going on as well.
I think there are earth angels, if you like.
Mm, mm,
I know of, a lady who's one of my clients. Gosh, she is so talented. I say she's one of my clients. She's also Reiki 1 and 2 attuned,
mm,
and she's very, very special
mm,
connection with spirit. Um, but she has the ability to go in her waking state and dream state to disaster zones and free
Mm,
souls that are trapped and
mm,
ascend them into the higher realms. And she's doing that like every week. So, you know, she's an earth
yeah.
angel. She's get her energy is going and setting this energy
Mm,
free, you
mm,
know.
mm,
Fascinating. I've had one, the closest I felt to that, something like that, is I felt like it was a dream, but it definitely wasn't a dream. And I'd gone to this guy. I've never seen this person before, but I
mm,
could describe him to a T. He had very thin face, ginger hair, bit of a beard. He was really, really sad and upset, and he was going to take his
mm,
own life. And it was dream state, but I really wasn't asleep. But I'd gone over and I'd sat and I'd allowed him to talk to me,
mm.
and we'd just had a chat and we had a conversation, and I calmed him down. And yeah, to this day, I still like. I wonder if there is somebody out there who's had an incident, you know, like that, matching that description. But it felt so real to me that I'd helped this guy not take his life.
Yeah, yeah. It's fascinating. And you know, we're talking like this, but we don't know half of what. And I think it'd blow our brains if we did.
Yeah, but this is the wormhole. This is why there's always more to find out. Like we could live to 150
Mm,
and we'd still be asking questions and we'd still be kind of wanting to learn more
mm,
because we can't, yeah, we can't know it all. There's just too
yeah.
much to understand and comprehend. Even if we did
Mm,
know it, we wouldn't be able to comprehend it. It's too much.
mm. It's weird. Me and Gary did some research on Haworth past lives that we had, and my niece was involved in it, Gracie, and we took her to Haworth, which is obviously in Yorkshire, and she didn't know anything about this kind of stuff, but she's a very old soul, and we didn't obviously say anything about the past lives, and we're walking through, and she was pointing out certain things and reacted in certain ways that was like, she's been here before. I knew where the cottage was that she lived. I didn't tell her. We're walking past it. We didn't mention it. We were all normal. She stopped outside the cottage. She went, I want to go in there. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's amazing.
It is,
I,
isn't it?
I
I want to go in there. She must have only been about 10 then. 10.
did she have any type of emotions, or was anything else happening when she went in, or
Yeah, she didn't actually go in because it's owned by somebody else now. But she had a few situations during especially the first part of the day, where she got a little bit over how certain things would. Oh, yeah, we went into where it says this is Charlotte Bronte's wedding dress. She walked in, I couldn't believe it because she's broad Yorkshire and she speaks the truth. Good lass. She walked in, she went, "That's not her dress." And I was like, "No, she's not into Bronte's. She's not into reading. End of." And I was like, okay, it's fine. It's not a dress. No, it's not a dress. And there was another, there was like, and people like, look at her. How dare you question history? But it was just like, yeah, yeah. Just watching her, it was like, again, because because she's not into that kind of stuff. That was my daughter that grew up with all this kind of conversation. She thought she's picking it up off of her mum. But it's like, no, she ain't. It's,
yeah, well, we
it's
can say
wild.
that because obviously my
Yeah,
children
yeah.
are around me all the time, but
Mm,
they're really,
mm.
you know, they're teenagers. They don't
Yeah,
care what
yeah,
their mom's doing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
embarrassing. I think why my oldest is getting round to it a little bit. But you know, the
Oh,
things that she told me in her, it was a Reiki session where she was seeing that past life. It was she described to me this cow god with a man's body and a cow's head who was giving healing to the people of this time. And they were laying on a stone plinth one at a time while this cow god was putting his hands over them. And then
mm,
they'd get off and there'd be a massive queue waiting. And we went to the Vatican last year. We went to the Vatican Museum, and there's a lot of artifacts in there. and there was a piece about the cow god and a photo, and my daughter was like, that's the cow god. That's who I saw in my session. There's no way she'd have known that. I didn't tell her anything about anything like that. And she was too young at the time to have, researched or known the factual information she was giving me. It's just, yeah, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And there was another room went into it about Emily Bronte, and there was some of her writing, and Gracie went up, and I went, "Oh, this is a girl called Emily Bronte that wrote books," and she went, "Oh, I don't like her," and I was just like, and again, everybody was like, and it's like, well, you lived in the same time as her, so there's possibly a reason why you didn't like her. Do you know what I mean? And you would have known her. It's nuts. How did you find the Vatican?
Do you know what? I didn't go in with my spiritual head on. And I
Yeah.
think there are, if you're connecting, for me, I know you
Mm,
get
mm,
affected in certain
mm.
places, but I have to be in there with my spiritual head on to be picking up the frequencies.
Yeah.
And because I was there with my family, I was there as a tourist, I was there, to observe. I wasn't taking in the energies.
Mm.
But I know a lot about the Vatican and about how, well, we'll not go into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bit of politics over that, isn't it? But
Yeah.
personally, I wasn't connecting, so I
But
didn't.
you were wiser than me because you're doing it now as an older woman with your shamanic training, and whereas when I went in, I had none of that. So I was just like, and I was in a really bad way back then because I was wide open apparently to an
Mm,
extent that I was attracting too much and becoming very ungrounded with it.
yeah.
But my experience in there was horrific.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, because of where I am now within my
You can
training,
look after yourself more.
I have protection on, my guides.
Mm,
Even at times when I forget to have the protection on, they've got my back,
yeah.
So I know that they're protecting me regardless of the situation. But yeah, there are times when I go to places and I haven't thought, like Meadowhall, for example, like a
Mm,
really busy
mm,
shopping
mm,
centre. If I go in there, like the old me, I get very overwhelmed. It's like I can't even
mm,
see properly.
mm,
I feel harassed. I feel like everybody's too close.
mm, mm,
No, it really is because
mm.
my aura is just getting kind of overwhelmed by everybody else's energy. Whereas now I can go in there with that highest level of
Mm.
protection, the high strength boundaries, and I can go in like a normal person and just kind of enjoy as much as you can the experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It is interesting. Have I said on this video that session I had with Ian, he said my tablet, my iPad was moving because I told you before it was moving up and down my body. Because he said to me, he said, was somebody in the room with you? Because your tablet was going up and down your body, scanning me or something. It was,
It's bizarre.
yeah.
It's really bizarre.
It,
Yeah, I tried to think of some really good sessions to tell you about. Do you know what? They all blow my mind.
mm, mm,
They're all
mm,
incredible. A really good one that I did, and I had it. I've only ever had two people in the room at once, and it was a couple. She was the lady that
mm,
I spoke to you about earlier, who was given the gift of peace and to like calm her
mm,
life down. But the gentleman, his issue presenting in this life was when it gets to around October time, he has, and the only way he can describe it is like he's got a grief, like I'm grieving for
yeah,
something. I just have this
yeah,
almighty sadness hit me and I can't get out of it. I just feel so overwhelmed with this sadness and grief. So we asked the question, why in this life are you feeling this sadness and grief? Oh my goodness. Like what we uncovered we did not expect.
mm,
He was actually taken all the way back to like Neanderthal times. There were still
mm,
dinosaurs present.
mm,
And basically, what happened was um, there was no fire. Man hadn't discovered fire at this point. So when it was dark, it was dark. There was no way of making it light.
mm,
He said when it got dark, the darkness came. basically the dinosaurs or whatever creatures there were at that time basically picked off his tribe one by one.
Wow.
So the fear and the grief of not being able to protect his loved ones, protect his tribe,
Wow.
it stayed with him this
Mm,
whole time. And what's really funny, and again, talk about how real this is, when I asked him to describe himself to me and what do you look like? And he looked down and he started laughing and he said, I'm really hairy. I'm really hairy. And he's like chuckling to himself about how hairy he was. He felt very big. He was a very
mm,
big, big guy. But then later on the session, because he'd mentioned his loved ones, I kind of said, do you have a partner? Is there a mate for you?
mm.
And he started chuckling again and he said, she's really hairy too.
Bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but we lifted that sadness, we lifted that
Mm,
darkness, and we lifted that grief, and we took that off of him. And he, even a couple of days after the session, he would report back to me and said, Kirsty, I feel so profoundly different. I feel
mm,
lighter in myself like I have never before.
mm.
So, yeah, another
It's
example
because
of that.
I've heard that before that you can have certain days where you feel real sadness because that's the day you died, or that's the day something happened to you, or and it can work the other way where you've got a really your lucky day, and that could be the day you got married in a previous life or had your first child or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that because I was doing a shamanic session for somebody recently, and she's quite a spiritual lady herself. And I gave her I said, oh, can you do it on the 9th? And she went, do you have the 7th available? And I was like, oh, I'll have a look. The 9th is what I have, but she was very interested in the 7th. And then when she asked her guides why the 7th was so important to have this
Mm,
shamanic
mm,
healing, they said, I don't. You're aware of the theory that the fetus doesn't have the soul the whole way through the pregnancy. It
mm,
just
mm,
comes in closer to the birth.
mm.
And her birthday was coming up, but she was specific about this date. She said, my guides had told me that's the day that my soul actually came into my body, and that's why the night. That's why that date was very important.
Fascinating, that, isn't it?
Yeah, really is.
Yeah.
So although we have a birthday, the day we are birthed into Earth, that was kind of like her soul day, the day that the soul finally ascended into the body. Because until then, it can just flit, can't it, back and
Mm,
forth between here and the
yeah.
realm.
As it comes in and goes out, comes in, goes out.
Yeah. So you are right. There are very special days.
Yeah.
We're not always aware of that either.
Yeah. I wonder if, when mums are predicted that they'll say to them, yeah, you're due on, and it never happens, very rarely happens. I wonder if that's the day when actually the soul comes in.
We'll never know. Well,
It's
they say
interesting though, isn't it?
sometimes the soul might not come through until you're
Mm,
down the birth
mm.
canal.
Yeah,
Or
true.
sometimes it might come in a month before. I think
Yeah.
it's the choice of
Mm,
the unborn soul to choose when it wants to. And then unfortunately the souls that don't come in at all are the stillbirths, aren't they?
mm. Yeah, it's interesting. When you work with clients and work with yourself, every time there's an issue in your life with someone, there is a past life reason.
Oh yeah.
You've done something to them, you've abused them, you've taken their money, their land,
Yeah.
and they're here to show you something. They're here to wake you up to something. And
Yeah.
when you see that, it's like it changes the game.
It
It
does.
changes the game.
But I think now because I've done so many of these regressions that I do look at relationships in my life and I question, oh, I wonder what we had, what's caused that.
Hmm.
And I'd love to regress myself into every
Hmm.
aspect. So actually I was just saying to Claire before we started the recording that I'm really excited that later on today I'm going to do a regression to my younger self, which I've never done
Yeah.
before. So I've done multiple past life regressions, but I've never actually regressed to a time in this life.
Mm,
So I'm going to go down to a specific time and event of something that happened when I was younger,
mm.
and see if we can actually change the emotional outcome.
Yeah. It's fascinating what we can do with it, isn't it? It's absolutely fascinating. And what problems we have that we carry in with us, like overeating can be that you've actually had a life where you've been underfed and undernourished.
Oh,
That's happened to
yeah,
me. That is something we're still dealing with. I
yeah.
had a life as a little boy in Paris, little orphan child, and I was like skin and bones running around Paris like a little Oliver Twist. And I went into a cellar with, I think, with a sibling, and a boulder fell on me into the middle of my stomach and just cut me in half. And yeah, it caused like Raynaud's type symptoms in the current life in my legs and
Yeah,
in,
but it
in
goes
toes.
back to that digestive
Yeah, yeah,
issues and the pains again.
yeah. The
Not only
digestion
the
system.
daggers and
Yeah,
the
daggers.
everything
That's why, you know
else,
what I
but
mean.
it's
I'm doomed.
yeah.
Just bring her to earth and just keep her away from royal courts, keep her away from pregnancy, and just leave her be.
Oh, this is
Um,
your healing life, isn't it? It
but
really is the life where you sort out that karmic
yeah,
cycle for,
yeah,
you know. I wonder if you're coming to the end of the karmic cycles.
yeah. I think I think when I've looked into it, it's like this has got to be the life where you've got to like knuckle down and face it.
Yeah.
Got to really knuckle down and hit the ground running.
I had a bit of a I had like a bit of a deep thinking moment the other day. It doesn't happen very often. But I kind of was like, well, obviously I'm doing all this healing like
Mm,
for others and myself. I thought, I wonder if every person who comes to me for a healing, I've wronged in a past life. So I've got to make it right to them now before I can move on. So
mm,
I'm like, God, I must have wronged a lot of people with all this healing I'm doing. I do know one of my worst lives, in shamanic, you get to go and have a look when you're journeying at like
yeah.
your worst self and your very best self. I wasn't a very nice person and I would have taken lives for sure. Um, so yeah, I did have a bit of a deep thinking moment the other day, thinking, I wonder if these are all the lives I've taken that I've now got to kind of heal in some way.
Could be, couldn't it? Yeah, yeah, definitely. Plus other people that have chosen you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, put onto their path.
Being a portal to other people as well.
Yes. Yeah, that's really, I love to go deep in the conversation and be profound because your mind just gets
Mm,
sent in all directions, doesn't it?
mm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, one session that I did, the guy came to me because he was feeling he didn't have any confidence, let's say.
Mm,
He just felt like whatever he was doing, he didn't feel like he was good enough, even though he obviously was. But he was really lacking confidence, and he felt like he was always people pleasing, let's say as well. So when we took him back into the life, he was actually in an orchard as a little boy, but he was he worked. Let's say he worked. It was almost like he was sent. He was an orphan, and he was living with these monks.
yeah.
And but it was basically like a slave to them. He did all their dirty work, all their donkey work, and he was abused by them as well.
Mm,
So the abuse and the suffering that he was having in that life was just really belittled him and made him feel so worthless that an aspect of that had come through into this life and just made him feel like he just didn't have the confidence to do what he wanted to do.
mm,
So when we're able to heal that aspect and take the essence of that scared little boy off,
mm,
his life has actually now blossomed in so many ways and grown
mm.
and just unrecognizable, let's say, to the person that was having those doubts.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
It's
really,
such a pleasure to do and to be part of,
yeah.
really, to kind
And,
of,
and I think as well, you've got to be open-minded. And I always say this to clients, don't get triggered if something bad comes up, like an horrific life where you've been a rapist or something,
yeah.
because we've all been there. We've all done it.
We have.
Um,
I think the way that I do my sessions
mm,
as well is that I will make the client aware that your mind will only show you what you are
mm,
prepared to see.
mm,
you know, we're not going to take you somewhere that you're not going to be able to deal with. You know,
Mm,
your subconscious mind and your higher self are looking after you. We're not going to
mm,
do anything that's going to be
mm, mm,
damaging.
mm. Yeah, it's yeah, and we're only at the tip of the iceberg as well.
Yeah, we are. We are. I I just really am happy for where my journey is taking me.
Mm,
And that part of doing the shamanic was so that I could develop the past life stuff
yeah.
as well, and actually be able to open portals and heal that energy,
Mm,
and not just leave it on people. You know, it's
mm, mm.
not sightseeing. We're not here just to
No,
go in
no,
and have a little look and
no.
oh, we're here for a reason and a purpose to
Mm,
heal that
mm,
pain, or you know, whatever,
mm.
or to give the gift of whatever it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
to come
And,
back.
and you've got to keep facing like some stuff takes years to heal, you know. Some stuff, boom, it's gone, it's finished, it's let go. But some stuff and it'll come back in a different way. Like you'll have a flare up in your body and it'll just be layer upon layer.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I think if you
Mm,
don't deal with things and heal them
mm,
in the right way, then you are just kind of suppressing it, aren't you?
mm, definitely. So
Yeah.
do you do the hypnosis over Zoom, like video call and stuff?
I have done, yes, I've done that a couple of times. I do prefer face-to-face
Mm,
sessions because I
mm,
think because they do get so emotional. I like
mm,
to be there for the client in a way. But that's not to say that we can't have that connection over Zoom. I have done it; it is
mm.
possible. I just, as long as the client is supported, that's the main thing.
Yeah, definitely. So if somebody wants to come and have a session, you've got a lovely room, a
Yeah.
lovely treatment room, which I love. They can do it via Zoom. They can come in and see you. I'll put all your details below, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and your website, yeah?
Yes, thank you.
And also as well, I don't know what you think to this, but we could have if you all put some questions underneath in relation to past lives, the impact, shamanism, healing, anything, we can come back and do a Q&A about it together, can't we?
Oh yeah, that'd be really
Put your question,
exciting.
and if you see somebody's already asked it, ask it again because the most asked questions will bring forward.
Yeah, well, that's really exciting because it also helps us to delve a little bit deeper
Mm,
into things that we might not have
mm,
thought of yet, or something that we kind of want to talk more about, but we
mm.
haven't actually got round to doing that. So I'd love to do a Q&A
Yeah,
on any further questions for sure.
yeah, definitely. Well, we'll do that. So questions below in the comments. Go over and support Kirsty. Go in and book sessions.
Yeah, thank you.
Honestly, I keep saying this to people. We are so lucky right now because we have got absolutely billions of healers and therapists and all different modalities in all different settings and group healing and ceremony and our ancestors have never really had this. Not to be able to openly say to someone, I'm going for Reiki without being burnt at the stake.
Yeah,
So
not
we are so
therapeutic.
lucky. We've got videos, we've got podcasts, we've got books, we've got so much. Take
Mhm.
advantage of all of it and just heal and heal and heal.
Yeah, we've got abundance at our fingertips to
Mm,
be
mm,
able
mm,
to, like you say, access all of
mm.
this nowadays. You know, I love teaching Reiki
Yeah.
students. I love sharing the knowledge, sharing the light, passing on the knowledge. Somebody said to me once, well, if you train lots of people to do what you do, doesn't that mean that you won't have anyone to do it on anymore? Because I'm like, no, it's the opposite. You know,
No.
there's unlimited amount of people for healing.
Mm,
The universe will always keep me
mm,
abundant. That's absolutely fine. But you know, the more people we can bring into the light
mm.
and bring into this healing and this life, the better. Yeah, let's raise
Yeah.
the vibration, raise
That is
consciousness.
such a 3D aspect way of looking at it because a
Yeah.
good healer will go for their own healing as well and they will continue their own healing journey.
Always. I love to go for healing.
Do you know
Yes.
what? I love it. I'll come to you, don't I?
Yeah, you do.
We've got to get I'm on shamanic healing. Anything I need, I'll go get it because I just think it's. I remember when I first started training, and I watched a video, and it was the worst one I could have watched. And he was like, "A good healer does not need healing; they can heal themselves."
Not
And I
true.
was like, "Oh right," and I actually stopped it, and it backfired. And it's like that is actually horrific
Yeah.
because
there's nothing better than letting another
Yeah,
experienced
yeah.
practitioner have a little poke about in your energy.
Mm-hmm.
There's always things that
Yeah,
we've missed or we've not
yeah,
seen, or
yeah.
if we've picked up energy and we're
Mm-hmm.
unaware of, because let's face it, we can check our own energy,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes there is things that we're going to miss. We
Mm-hmm.
might have attachments on us.
Mm-hmm.
We're working with a lot of people day in, day
Mm-hmm.
out, so if something has gone amiss on our energy, we need to go and have it checked out. It's like
Mm-hmm.
going to the spiritual doctor, isn't it? And
Well, yeah, yeah. If
a little
can
MOT.
you imagine a consultant surgeon saying, "No, I'm going to chop my own leg off."
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, I'm going to do my own knee replacement.
Good
It just,
example.
it's the same. So that thing about, oh, I also found that as well when I first trained that nobody wanted to share their information for free. It was all courses, and I get that. You want a mentoring session, but this is why I like this video work because I like to share, and the only way people learn is to share.
Yeah, you know what? When I was coming into it as well, I found it really hard to find that information. Like,
Mm,
how do I know that I've got to do that? And there's only so
mm,
much that a textbook can teach you, isn't
mm,
there?
mm,
You
mm,
can read stuff in books, but it's not going to tell you about. Oh, I don't know. Certain things that I say when I'm talking to spirit, when I'm working, I'm
mm,
constantly talking, and when my students will say to me, "Well, what are you saying?" I'm telling them, this is how I want it to be for you. I want
mm,
you to
mm,
work in
mm,
that loving energy. I want
mm,
you to continually send that love vibration to and from spirit. But that
mm.
in any books I've read, it doesn't really
No.
explain that. It's just kind of like the light comes in and it goes out through your
Mm,
hands. Like, yes, it does, but it's also an energy. It's a vibration. It's
yeah.
this, it's that, and
Mm, yeah.
it's through talk. It's through talk, listening to other people. That's how
Mm,
I've come on such a long way.
mm,
I think.
mm. And I think as well, I think it's spiritual ego. No, this is my info. It's not your information. It's the information you've been given by somebody else, or you've brought it up in the universe,
Yeah,
and you've got to share it. So yeah,
yeah,
and
definitely.
you're a very good attuner to Reiki, aren't you, Kirsty? You can
Oh,
do
thank
great
you,
attunements on people and change lives.
thank you, very much appreciated.
So if you want a Reiki attunement, I can honestly say, get yourself to Retford.
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, attunements is something that I do face to face
Mm, mm,
only.
mm.
I am aware that you can be attuned over video, but for me,
No,
no.
no.
A face to face attunement is good, and I'm off the A1, so it's pretty easily accessible for anybody that wants to come and have attunements. Level one is 2 days, level
Hmm.
two practitioners 1 day. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just amazing. It's just amazing
yeah.
to watch somebody else's face, because I can guarantee you when I do a course of Reiki level one, there will be somebody, if not more than one person, who will be thinking, it won't happen for me.
Mm, mm,
I won't be able to be attuned, or how will I
mm,
know?
mm.
And then seeing their faces by the end of day two, when they're actually giving each other a healing session, the
Yeah,
mind is blown. It's amazing.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. So yeah, definitely. I mean, even if you think I don't want to be a Reiki practitioner, just do your level one, where you can heal yourself, where you can heal others, as in your family, friends, no, just your family. Um,
I didn't do this thinking I was going to go off and
no,
be a
no,
spiritual
no.
healer. I did Reiki level one for me, just for my
Yeah,
self
yeah,
healing.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't think it would ever take me to where I've got to at
Mm.
all, ever.
I don't think any of us ever went into this work knowing we were going into it. When I left my Matrix job, I did courses for nails and makeup and facials and massage. That's what I initially went into.
Yeah,
And it just, I was like, I'm going to set up a cabin in the garden. I'm going to do nails, facials, and, makeup and massage, and that's it. Oh, no.
amazing.
Yeah.
The universe had other ideas
Oh,
for
yeah.
you.
So, yeah, we will wish you all well. And we will be back because these sessions can go over, can't they?
Oh, Claire and I could talk
Yeah.
all day, every day without coming up for air, can't
Oh,
we,
I know.
Claire?
When I come for my Reiki sessions, Gary's like, at the first one, I'm going in for an hour's Reiki. So we'd pack up thinking that I'll go for some shopping and like 3 or 4 hours later.
Well, we have a lot to unpack
Yeah,
between us, don't
yeah,
we?
yeah. So put your questions below and we will come back and do a Q&A. It's
Yes,
about
please.
past lives, shamanism, female wounding, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and go over and support Kirsty on her channels, please. And book in your sessions, get your hypnosis sessions booked in, get your attunements booked in.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And yeah, so we will say goodbye.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yay. Bye. Bye.